Welcome, everybody, to Cup with Gup on this Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. Hope you're doing well this morning. The second round of big storms are moving out of here, starting to see some sunlight, and we're actually going to get some cooler weather now. Should see some lows in the 40s this weekend. A little fall weather. Get the old fired up the coffee and maybe grab a pumpkin spice if that's for you or something like that. I'm pretty much a dark roast only, nothing in it. But looking forward to the weekend. Should be a nice weekend. Tons of sports heading your way. Green 25 gets you 25% off. That includes a 7-day risk-free trial. Come check us out now. We've got all the new NFL tools up. The Green Machine Optimizer is doing phenomenal, and people are loving the ease of use with it. I am working on a video now to kind of preview all that as well. Tutorial / preview type stuff for those that are new to the site. Now is a great time to try us out. We had college football last night. NBA is right around the corner. MLB playoffs are always fun to talk through strategy in the GC Warrior Room. NFL tomorrow, PGA tomorrow. College football Friday night, or Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. And then, of course, the big NFL slate on Sunday and Monday Night Football. So all in that week, and then you basically get all the coverage for next week's golf as well if you join today before making your decision if you want to stay or not. If you don't, you can cancel. You'll never see a charge, so that makes it nice to come join us now. Let's get the Listener League filled up. I went out on a limb to try to get this one this week. I figured with the big field, we could get that full. It's a 3 max entry, 200 total, flat payouts, limited rake. It's in the description if you want to click on it. Get your entries in now. A little bit later, tee off tomorrow, so we're going to have that don't tinker stuff going in the morning. It's always fun to be in chat when that's going on. I think it's 9:40 or something like that my time, so almost 11 o'clock East Coast time. You have all kinds of time to do stuff in the morning. Rate and review us on iTunes. It goes a long way. Thanks to everybody who's done that in the last few weeks. If you can't remember if you've done it or it's been too long, go ahead and do it real quick again. I keep a list of all that, and when I'm doing big giveaways, that's the first thing I go to look to. And then the next thing, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that like button on the video, and in the comments, tell me your favorite 8K play this week for the CJ Cup. I announced the Millie ticket winners on yesterday's Cup with Gup, so be sure to check that out. Underdog, use the code GUP, get a free $10 when you deposit $10. The resurrection is 92.7% full. It will probably get full today. If you're wanting to get in there on some week 6 through 17 best ball, go check it out. Thursday night football rumble, $10 to enter, and it's got 50K in prizes in it. Pretty nice little pot this week on the rumble. So if you do some best ball and then still want to do some daily stuff, they have that. I know the NHL best balls may be done. In NBA, I don't know if it ended last night or you can still get in it. So go check that out. They do have NBA best balls as well, and they added college football player prop picks. If you want to go check those out and utilize our information and content to play over there. Updated thoughts for me. In general, I'm wrapping up final ownership type stuff. Going to get the package out to the premium members here this afternoon. I think ownership's going in general, any kind of tournament like this, or even sometimes in the Masters or majors, if they depending on the soft pricing, quote unquote. I don't know if I'll have more than 2 people projected over 20%. Very similar to last week. It's just going to be so spread out to me, and very, very flat ownership. There's still several of key spots where you can get leverage. But when you only got, 70, whatever it is, 75, 78 guys, you're going to have, 6 to 8 guys that, maybe 1%ers type deal. The guys you're just not really even going to look at. You're really looking at lineup construction as a whole. Like, you want it to be about how you're going to build, how you're going to gain some leverage. You probably don't want to start, Xander, Hovland, Vegas, Wise, or something like that. I mean, all those guys are going to be popular. Now, you can still get bits and pieces of them, and you don't have to have leverage to the field if you build uniquely, and you don't have to get I think when people hear uniquely, like they feel like you got to get totally crazy on the lineup, and you really don't, especially in something like this. There's so many spots where you can just take a chance here, a chance there. In the green machine, what you could do if you're doing an MME is go pick like 7 guys or so. Say you're going to do 50 lineups. I don't know, mini max, something like that. Pick an appropriate amount of guys and put a rule in the green machine that says must include one of these guys in every lineup. I do that sometimes, and those guys are all going to be very low owned guys that I put in there. And that way I know that set of lineups that I'm building, one of these low guys is going to be in there, and that may be enough to be different, on the week, and maybe it's 2 guys, or you take one of, you can mix and match those rules, those stack rules in the green machine. It's very easy to do. And that could be enough. There's all kinds of different ways. People say leave money on the table. That's certainly, you leave $200 on any lineup out there, start 49.8. Most of the time, you're going to be fine just doing that, no matter what the build is. Because so many people use the 40. If you use 49.7, you're really, I bet you're moving off 96%, 97%, something like that of the field this week. You can just go max salary on the green machine, put 49.7, and maybe take it down to like 48.9 as leaving a little more on there, and build freely. I don't personally think you even have to worry about too much ownership in that scenario, because only like less than 3% of the field it could even dupe you, because we've done all the research, and not many people leave $300 or more on the table. So that's an easy way to do it. If you don't want to get complicated, a lot of people like to use ownership projections. They could use mine and target the 65 to 85% is pretty common. That's another way you can do it as well. I more so just make a few tough decisions, and I mess with my min-max salary, and then I just let it go. And it's worked out for me. I rarely see myself get duped in anything. So something like this, that's a good thing to do. Course looks great. All the pictures we've seen coming out of it and on the Golf Channel or however you've been looking. Weather looks perfect. Like, they're not going to have any issues at all this week. It really is setting up to be just an ultimate scoring fest of everything you hear and see. And, I guess they could set up the pins really tough. That would probably be their only combat at this point. There's just not going to be much wind from what we're seeing right now. Certainly that could change, but, I don't see much now. I think we're going to probably get, like last week, mid-20s could be the winner. So, you really got to factor in, some of the stuff I did in the deep dive and final stuff was factoring in guys that I know or truly believe can get that low, or get low enough to, at least, return what I need them to. If you get a guy that's a grinder or something like that, maybe not as what you want this week, as opposed to a guy that can get the birdies or better and have tons of eagle chances. It looks like all these par 5s are going to be gettable. Several par 4s could potentially be drivable. It really feels like if Bryson was here, like he could dominate this course. I kind of was wondering why Bryson and Rahm aren't here. Rahm, I get. I know he played over in Euro, but Bryson, I was kind of surprised because he could. There's not a lot of trouble. The rough around the greens and stuff like that aren't going to be massive, or not going to be any difficulty in chipping too much. There's some, that you see that could be, but greens are big. So you still got to be able to putt, not, probably lag putting, 3-putt avoidance, stuff like that. But in general, it's just going to be scoring. So that's going to outdo probably finishing position, stuff like that. I've got all that factored into the final ranks for me. So who's moved up for me? Hovland is one that I don't think I talked about enough. He definitely, we know last week we did talk about his short game was a struggle. Bent isn't necessarily his best, but he struggles putting sometimes in general, but ball striking is so good, 9,900. I do think he's gonna be one of the higher owned. But depending on where you want to cut and move or go light on, he's a guy that's moved up my rankings quite a bit. JT, it's hard to say he moved up, but he's definitely on my radar as a potential play, depending on, a few things. We'll get into the fade, move down type stuff. But I do like him a lot this week, and I do like Bones being on his bag. Not that his old caddy was bad, but Bones probably one of the better caddies out there, period. Spieth, I think Spieth, I struggle with this because I know his popularity, but I think I'm going to have him as the lowest owned in the 10K range. So I think with that, I don't mind playing some Spieth. I talked about that either yesterday or Monday. Kazier's another guy that I've been playing. I kind of didn't talk much about him, but he just keeps coming through as far as what I'm looking at. I know he doesn't have the best. I think he's missed 2 cuts in a row or something like that, but we don't have to worry about that here. He can score. If you go back and because I played him so much lately, if you go back and look at some of the rounds, he's had big numbers at times, or that kind of gets him in trouble. Did have a 28 at the Fortinet Championship, then 2 missed cuts. So 6,600, he's not going to be owned a lot. He's a guy that kind of could fill in some of those, like I was talking about earlier. He's a guy you could put in that, that little pool of players that if you get him in, he can make a chalky lineup pretty unique. And then Hatton, I talked about him, and I didn't know if I was going to get there. I don't think he's going to be talked about much, at least what I've already listened to and stuff. I talked about him on Smash Factor, and I'm still there. I think he's going to be sub 10%. He played well over in Euro, his last tournament after the Ryder Cup. So he's a guy that I have moved up and I like. Faded, moved down for me. Henley is a guy that I probably will be light on or just move out of my pool. I tend to take in a tournament like this and how I do it. I try to take, depending on how much lineups I'm going to do in the total pool, 2 to 3, maybe 4 type guys that I feel comfortable almost eliminating that are decent ownership, because that, and then how I do the min max and stuff, pretty much eliminates any kind of dupes, and it lets me just build freely. I don't have to overthink or overcomplicate that stuff. Now, it is risky to take some of these guys that are going to be high owned and full fade them, but I'm also a believer in not spreading yourself out too thin this week. You want to get a pretty good core depending on how many lineups you're building, and if that hits, it hits well. That's always been how I build. So going it this week, the next fade or move down, I think I got to make a decision on Vegas and McKinley, Mav. So tough there. I think that'll be something I come to conclusion as we get through the day, final thoughts and all that kind of stuff. They're not in the same price range, but I think having both of them in my player pool it's really tough. Vegas I think will be much higher owned, but I do think Mav brings a good enough ownership at the $7,300 mark as well. And I have him ranked down lower. So I'm struggling with that one, but one of those 2 guys I may move off of, with the ownership, the way it's coming in, unless I find another spot that, is more favorable, to move off of. But right now, I think I got to make a decision there. Usti is a guy that I'm easily I'll just pass on, and he'll probably kill me like he did last week. But, I eliminate Henley and Usti. That's, it's 2 pretty high owned guys, I think, that gets me a good start. And then, Schauffele, I think, will probably be the highest owned. And my next decision is going to be him or Morikawa to decide, all right, do I go light on one of them? Fade one in a 3 max and then play in the MME. They're both going to be 2 of probably the top 5 owned. In the field, you get a little bit of price savings with Xander. I think more will go there eventually, even though Morikawa is, the home course narrative, but Xander lives there too. He's within the area, so he knows enough about it. Both solid plays, and it's hard to move off both of them, especially, we still have this fear of the way the end of the season ended the last 2 months or so, like the chalk just kept coming through. And I think they're both fine plays. I lean Xander, but I do think he's going to be the highest owned. So that's the decision I think, we'll have to make. And I don't want to be light on both of them. I like to play one. But then again, I may just go, all right, maybe I eliminate those 2 or virtually eliminate them, Henley and Usti, and that's it. That's all I got to do. Then I can go play the JT, the Rory, Spieth, all those guys, Hovland, who's going to be popular. Even Aaron Wise, he's a lot cheaper, but he's going to be popular. But I can get those guys in because I'm not risking myself up to too much chalk in any type of lineup. Names that kind of popped for me this morning. Woodland is a guy that I didn't really have on my radar. Deep dive stuff looks pretty good. He's in the 6Ks. He's going to be virtually unowned. He's a guy. He's one of those guys I'm talking about. You can throw in that little player pool. Harry Higgs is a guy you can throw in there. $6,100. So many people are going to go to, Vegas, Cam Davis, those type of guys. I like Higgs. He even moved up more for me. Hudson Swafford's name's been thrown out there quite a bit. I'd take Higgs over not all three of those guys, but I'd take Higgs over like a Swafford. But I take Higgs, for leverage speaking, over like a Vegas. I'm probably going to play Cam Davis. He's still staying with me. I just love his scoring ability in a tournament like this. So I'll eat that a little bit. And, maybe I go Higgs over Vegas, and that gets me rid of some of the chalk. Alex Noren kind of sticks out to me. Only reason is if you look at his history on easy courses, he's really, in the last year played those very well when it's been a birdie fest. He popped at BMW Championship, which is one of the courses I used in my course fit stuff. I don't know if I get there for sure. He's not going to be super high owned, probably in that 10% range. $7,100. He's kind of, he kind of popped out to me. Max Homa, I don't really think he moved up decently in the final for me. We know he's a boomer bust. No cut here though. Somewhat on the West Coast, what he does well at. And no one's really talked about him. He got the first win of the season. He can easily go out there and do well. And if he's going to be, sub 10%, 9% or something, I certainly don't mind putting him in my pool. And then the last one, he doesn't really pop for me, and I hadn't decided what I'm going to do with him. But when you deep dive into Fowler, he did shoot -5 on Friday. I think most people didn't pay attention to that because he was so horrible Thursday. The putter looked good. The irons looked good on Friday. He was not doing very well off the tee. If you go back to even when he's had his flashes here in the last 4 to 6 months, he's had really good scoring. And then, it kind of reminds me of Spieth. I think we've talked about it before. And then he'll get a triple. In a cut event, it just kills him. But here at 6,400, I think he has the potential. He's not going to pop in any kind of model or stats or anything. I think he's near the bottom of mine. But if the putter is getting back rolling, irons look decent Friday, could be worth, getting, 8% of them. If you're doing a bunch of lineups, just to throw the name out there in case people have completely written him off. If he's going to do well, you would think, or get back on track, a no-cut event that's easy scoring, not a lot of trouble off the tee would be when he does it, right? In a no-cut, right? So you don't have to worry about missing a cut. It's worth maybe going back there as opposed to, 6,400. He's not going to be owned at all. There's too many other options that people are going to get to. 3 or 4%, I think, at max, especially after he burned. He was higher owned last week than I thought, double what I thought, and he burned people there. So just a name, maybe if you're doing a large MME or something. Leverage plays this week are pretty easy. Up top, it's Brooks, then it's Matsu, and it's Reed. All going to be significantly under-owned in their ranges. I've already talked about Spieth a little bit, but Matsu and Brooks will probably be the two lowest up in the 9K. Reed will be, if not the lowest, right there in the 8K. I think Fleetwood maybe a little bit just because no one wants to pay that price for him. So those are good leverage play options for the big boys up top. Monkey Knife Fight plays, like I talked about, we've been on fire. Hit again on Monday. 100% up to $100 deposited. 100% match up to $100 deposited. Use the code GUPS, GUPS. Continue to win here. Barely lost the PGA last week, but we've hit the last 4 now. Between Thursday night football, college football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, all my plays I give out on here. So today we are going more or less, which is a 3X payout. JT over 19.5, X over 19.5. I don't think I'm going to give you my 2 best that I like, but there's several in there I think you could take advantage of because there's no data at this course. So I think they're kind of just going off of maybe something like last week. Those are similar numbers to last week. I think there's going to be even better scoring here this week because they're not going to have any conditions. So I hit that pretty hard. JT over 19.5, Xander over 19.5 birdie or betters. Then the next more or less I did 5X was JT over 111.5 points, DJ over 110.5 points, X over 109.5 points. So got all those. I think those are light compared to what we predict the scores to be. You get 4 days out of these guys guaranteed, so that makes it a little bit easier of a prop to take a chance on. And I did 3 or 4 others, just kind of mix and match in different things, so you can go check it out. I think it's a good week to try it. Use GUPS, you get up to $100 free. So you deposit 20, you get 20, go put it in. It makes some money this week. And I'll give out more plays tomorrow, obviously on the Thursday Night Football Showdown on Cup with Gup. Speaking of that, yeah, tomorrow, Cup with Gup, Thursday Night Football Showdown and Monkey Knife Fight picks. Then the coin flip will come out tomorrow afternoon. Friday with Ryan, full main slate preview for Sunday. Friday, the read option with Bobby Berger. College football DFS breakdown will come out for the Saturday main slate. I will be live Sunday morning at 10 Eastern, 9 my time Central, to talk our final talks going into Week 6 NFL. Come join us. Green 25 gets you 25% off right now. Free trial for 7 days. Check us out. If you don't like us by next Wednesday, you probably won't, so you can cancel and no risk, so it's a great time to give that try. And that code's locked in for life. So you get that 25% off as long as you stay a member. I'll be back tomorrow with Cup with Gup and then the coin flip. You guys have a blessed evening. Good luck this week with PGA. Talk to you later.